Okay, so get this. We're diving into a book. It's shrouded in mystery. The Book of Enoch. It's been debated, banned, revered for centuries.
Centuries.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it. This book, it's considered by some to be like the bridge, between the Old and the New Testaments. It was written way before the birth of Christ.
What's fascinating is it's not actually in most Christian Bibles.
Right.
It is considered canon in some of the oldest churches. Hold on to your hats. It's even quoted in the Bible itself.
Whoa, that's wild. So we're dealing with something that's like woven into the fabric of religious history, but it's still a hidden gem.
Exactly. It's a secret handshake for those in the know.
Oh, okay, I like
And
it.
it gets even crazier. When you start digging into the content,
Okay, spill the tea. What kind of stuff are we talking about here?
imagine a world on the brink of destruction where fallen angels roam the earth. They're having children with human women. And those children are, wait for it, giants.
Hold up. Giants, like Jack and the Beanstalk giant.
Oh! You think more along the lines of monstrous, terrifying giants wreaking havoc on humanity.
Okay, yeah, that's a little scarier.
Yeah. These are the Nephilim.
The Nephilim.
And the Book of Enoch really dives deep into their origin story, their destructive nature,
Yeah.
and how their existence ultimately leads to God's decision to flood the earth.
Wow, okay. So that kind of makes the whole flood story in the Bible make a little more sense. God wasn't just having a bad day. He was dealing with some serious cosmic drama.
Right. The Book of Enoch gives us this whole other layer of understanding about what was going on in the world before the flood.
Right.
It's not just a simple retelling. It adds a whole new dimension to the biblical narrative.
Totally. This Enoch guy, he must have been quite the character.
Yeah.
To witness all of this firsthand.
He was considered a prophet, possibly even the first one. And get this, the book claims to detail his actual journey to heaven, where he learns all these secrets about the universe, angels, and the fate of humanity.
Okay, so he's like the original space explorer, but instead of rockets, he's using divine intervention. That's one heck of a trip.
And speaking of journeys, the Book of Enoch doesn't just stop at the flood. It goes on to foretell the coming of a Messiah, centuries before Jesus walked the earth.
Wow.
This is the Son of Man, a figure destined to bring about judgment and usher in a new era.
Okay. No wonder this book resonated with early Christians. It's like a preview of what's to come in the New Testament.
Exactly. It provided them with this framework.
Yeah.
For understanding the coming of Jesus and the events that would unfold. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The fallen angels, these watchers who lusted after human women, they also decided to share some of their forbidden knowledge with humanity.
Oh, this is where the ancient astronaut theorists start jumping up and down. Right?
You got it. They point to these passages as evidence of extraterrestrial contact, suggesting that maybe these watchers weren't angels, but aliens with advanced technology.
Well, okay, hold on for a second. You're telling me that this ancient text might have predictions about Jesus and possible alien encounters. My mind is officially blown.
And we're just getting started. What I find particularly fascinating is that this knowledge the watchers shared wasn't just random trivia. It was stuff like warfare and metallurgy.
So it wasn't just, hey, humans, here's how to bake a cake. It was knowledge that could be used for good or evil, which ultimately led to more corruption in the world.
Exactly. And this raises some big questions. Was this knowledge transfer a sign of the angels' compassion or their manipulation? Did it symbolize a loss of innocence for humanity? And what does it say about the nature of knowledge itself, its potential for both progress and destruction?
Whoa. Those are some deep thoughts. It seems like the Book of Enoch isn't just a collection of crazy stories. It's actually grappling with some pretty heavy philosophical and ethical dilemmas.
Right, and those dilemmas are part of what make this book so compelling and relevant, even thousands of years later.
Okay, I'm hooked. I need to know more about these watchers, these Nephilim, and the whole forbidden knowledge situation.
And there's so much more to unpack. Let's move on to the symbolism and deeper meaning behind these stories in the Book of Enoch. What did you find most interesting or puzzling in what you've read so far?
Oh, I have so many questions. But first, I need to know what happened to those rebellious angels after they messed things up so badly. Where did they end up?
Well, that brings us to the concept of Tartarus. And trust me, it's not your typical vacation spot.
Uh-oh. This sounds ominous. All right, let's dive into that next. Okay, so those fallen angels, the Watchers, they're in big trouble after causing all that chaos. What happens to them? You mentioned this place called Tartarus, and it didn't sound pleasant.
Yeah, it's definitely not paradise, that's for sure. Tartarus, as described in the Book of Enoch, is where those rebellious angels are imprisoned. awaiting their ultimate judgment.
So it's like a cosmic jail for bad angels?
You could say that, but it's not just about physical confinement. Tartarus represents a state of separation from God, a spiritual exile. It's a place of darkness and torment. A stark contrast to the heavenly realms Enoch visits in the book.
Right. It makes sense. It's not just about locking them up. It's about the consequences of their actions, being cut off from the divine source.
Exactly. And this idea of separation from God is a key theme throughout the Book of Enoch.
Yeah.
It's not just the angels who experience it. Humanity also suffers this separation because of sin and disobedience.
So Tartarus is more like a symbolic representation of the spiritual state of being lost, disconnected from what's good and holy.
That's a really insightful way to put it. It makes you think about the idea of hell, doesn't it? Is it a literal place of fire and brimstone? Or is it more about this internal state of separation from God, from love, from light?
Whoa, that's deep. The Book of Enoch is making me rethink some major theological concepts here. It's definitely not your average Sunday school material.
And that's part of what makes it so fascinating, right? It pushes us to think beyond the surface, to question our assumptions, and to explore different interpretations of religious ideas.
Totally. Okay, but let's get back to those watchers for a minute. They're imprisoned in Tartarus, but the damage is already done. They've shared their forbidden knowledge with humanity, and it seems like that knowledge has had a ripple effect throughout history.
Absolutely. And this is where we can start to see the Book of Enoch's influence on various esoteric and mystical traditions, even some modern conspiracy theories.
Okay, give me the lowdown on this. What kind of groups or theories are we talking about?
Well, some secret societies, like the Freemasons, have been fascinated by the Book of Enoch for centuries. They see it as a source of ancient wisdom, particularly its teachings about cosmology, angelology, and the divine.
I can see why a group like the Freemasons, with their focus on symbolism and knowledge, would be drawn to a text like this. It's like a hidden code waiting to be deciphered.
Exactly. And the Book of Enoch also feeds into those ancient astronaut theories we talked about earlier, those vivid descriptions of celestial journeys, heavenly realms, and interactions with otherworldly beings. Well, let's just say they spark the imagination.
So there are people out there who believe that the Book of Enoch is a literal account of alien contact, that these watchers were actually extraterrestrial beings who came to Earth and shared their technology with humans.
That's one interpretation. Though it's important to remember that the book itself frames this knowledge transfer within a religious context. It's about angelic disobedience, divine judgment, and the consequences of forbidden knowledge.
But still, it's intriguing to think about, right?
Yeah.
It's like the Book of Enoch is tapping into this universal fascination with the unknown, with the possibility that we're not alone in the universe.
And that's the beauty of ancient texts like this. They can be interpreted on so many different levels. They can be historical documents, religious treatises, philosophical explorations, and even sources of inspiration for creative works.
Speaking of creative works, you mentioned earlier that the anime series Attack on Titan was influenced by the Book of Enoch. Can you tell me more about that?
Absolutely. The creators of Attack on Titan have openly acknowledged the book's influence on their storytelling. The themes of giants, apocalyptic threats, and humanity's struggle for survival, they're all there in both the Book of Enoch and the anime.
It's amazing to think that a text written thousands of years ago can still resonate with modern audiences and inspire contemporary art and storytelling. It shows that there's something timeless about these themes, these archetypes, these questions about good and evil, life and death, and the fate of humanity.
Exactly. The Book of Enoch is like a thread woven through history, connecting us to the past, the present, and the future. Okay, we've talked about Tartarus, secret societies, and even anime. Is there anything else we need to explore in relation to the Book of Enoch?
Well, there's one more aspect that I think is particularly intriguing, and it might just be the most controversial of all. It's the Book of Enoch's connection to conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy theories. Now, this is where things get really interesting. Tell me more. Okay, so conspiracy theories. What's the connection between the Book of Enoch and conspiracy theories? Well, certain groups and individuals, they interpret the Book of Enoch through a conspiratorial lens. They see it as like a key to unlocking hidden truths about the world, truths that have been suppressed by powerful forces.
So they believe the Book of Enoch is like a secret decoder ring for understanding history and current events.
Exactly. They might connect the watchers to ideas about secret societies, manipulating world events, or even ancient alien intervention shaping human civilization. It's a rabbit hole of speculation, to be sure.
Wow, I can see how the book's themes of like forbidden knowledge, angelic rebellion, and apocalyptic events could fuel those kinds of theories.
Exactly. And it's important to note that, while these interpretations might seem out there, they highlight the enduring power of the Book of Enoch to capture the imagination and spark debate.
It's like this ancient text is a mirror, reflecting our own anxieties and fascinations, whether it's fear of the unknown, distrust of authority, or a desire to understand our place in the universe.
Precisely. But before we get too lost in conspiracy theories, let's step back for a second and look at the Book of Enoch in relation to other ancient texts. It's not an isolated work, it's part of a larger tapestry of literature.
Oh, good point. What other texts shed light on the Book of Enoch?
Well, the Dead Sea Scrolls, for example, they contain fragments of the Book of Enoch, confirming its circulation among certain Jewish communities, centuries before the time of Jesus.
Wait, so we have physical evidence that people were reading and studying this book way back then. That's incredible. It's like holding a piece of history in your hands.
Exactly. And this discovery, it's really shaken up our understanding of the book's historical context. It shows us that the ideas and stories in the Book of Enoch were circulating and influencing religious thought much earlier than we previously thought.
It's like finding a lost chapter of history, adding another layer to the puzzle.
And speaking of lost chapters, the Nag Hammadi Library, a collection of Gnostic texts discovered in Egypt, also has writings that echo themes found in the Book of Enoch.
Oh, right. Remind me, what exactly is Gnosticism again?
Gnosticism was it was a diverse movement in the early centuries of Christianity. Gnostics, they emphasized personal spiritual knowledge, or gnosis, as the path to salvation. They were often interested in esoteric knowledge and had their own interpretations of scriptures.
And how does the Book of Enoch tie into Gnostic beliefs?
Well, both the Book of Enoch and some Gnostic texts, they share a fascination with angelology, cosmology, and the nature of the divine. They also delve into this idea of a hidden knowledge that leads to spiritual enlightenment.
So, while the Book of Enoch isn't strictly Gnostic, it might have resonated with Gnostic thinkers who were seeking alternative interpretations of Scripture and exploring the mysteries of existence.
That's a very strong possibility. And these connections to other ancient texts, like the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Nag Hammadi Library, remind us that religious beliefs and practices were incredibly diverse in those early centuries.
Yeah, it's like a kaleidoscope of different interpretations and beliefs, all swirling around these core texts and ideas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It makes exploring these texts even more fascinating because you get a glimpse into this vibrant and dynamic period of religious and intellectual history.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. History, symbolism, conspiracy theories, connections to other texts. What are the lasting ethical and philosophical implications of the Book of Enoch? Why should we in the 21st century care about a book written thousands of years ago?
That's a great question. And I think the answer lies in the book's enduring power to challenge us, to make us think about our choices and their consequences. The Book of Enoch isn't just a collection of ancient myths and legends. It's a call to action, urging us to live just and righteous lives.
So it's not just about giants and fallen angels.
Right. It's also about the importance of compassion, justice, and wisdom. It reminds us that our actions have consequences, not only for ourselves, but for future generations. Think about the fallen angels and the knowledge they shared. It led to chaos and destruction, showing us the potential dangers of unchecked ambition and the misuse of knowledge.
And those themes feel incredibly relevant today, especially in a world grappling with things like climate change, social injustice, political polarization. It's like the Book of Enoch is holding up a mirror to our own times, urging us to make better choices.
Exactly. And even though it's an ancient text, it speaks to those very contemporary concerns, encouraging us to examine our values and our responsibility to create a more just and sustainable world.
So the Book of Enoch is more than just a fascinating historical artifact. It's a source of timeless wisdom that can guide us as we navigate the complexities of the modern world.
Precisely. It invites us to engage in a dialogue with the past, to learn from the mistakes of those who came before us, and to strive for a better future.
What an incredible journey this has been. We started with fallen angels and giants, explored the depths of Tartarus, uncovered connections to secret societies and conspiracy theories, and even pondered the nature of knowledge and the meaning of existence. It's mind-boggling to think that one ancient book can hold so much depth and complexity.
And that's the beauty of exploration, isn't it? You never know what you might uncover, what connections you might make, what questions you might be left pondering.
To our listeners, I have one final question for you. What message does the Book of Enoch hold for you? Does it offer insights into your own beliefs, anxieties, or hopes for the future? We encourage you to continue exploring this enigmatic text and draw your own conclusions. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.